Good day, Ms. Nelson and fellow viewers. Today, my group and I shall be presenting the fact-finding for our chosen Psychology Seminar 2 topic, Understanding and Navigating the Experience of Failure During Adulthood.
Research purpose. The target audience are young adults and adults between the ages of 18 to 60 years in Trinidad and Tobago. To investigate, we inquired about the issues faced by the target audience and also aimed to understand what specific challenges needed to be addressed. We collected data via an online survey, which was virtually distributed to our target audience. For data analysis, we compiled survey findings to generate data. Then we presented and explained the data findings. The objectives includes the topic discussion, a method of data collection, and the data discussion and analysis.
Topic discussion. For there to be a discussion on our topic of understanding and navigating the experience of failure during adulthood, we must first define what failure is. So what is failure? Cannon and Edmondson defined failure as the gap between an expected or desired result and what one ultimately experiences. After a failed experience, one can develop a fear of failing. What is a fear of failure? According to the American Psychological Association, a fear of failure is the persistent and irrational anxiety about failing to measure up to the standards and goals set by oneself or others. Some examples include anxiety over academic standing, losing a job or the loss of face, and self-esteem. Failure during adulthood. International research literature highlights that failure of a high and specific goal can damage self-related factors like affect self-esteem and motivation, as well as can have subsequent behavioral consequences. While these consequences may be short-term, when goals are repeatedly missed and the person lacks the tools to mitigate the effects, it can have major long-term ramifications. Experimental studies further suggested that emotional responses to promotion and prevention goal failure can lead to rumination, which prolongs the intensity of perceived failure to make progress toward personal goals, thereby amplifying negative emotional states associated with failure. The repercussions subsequently undermine goal commitment by lowering people's confidence in their overall ability to pursue their ambitions, while sabotaging their general expectation of success, leading to disengagement between such persons and their goals. However, there is a lack of emphasis and speciality placed on understanding and navigating the experience of failure during adulthood, and we predict that many young and older adults in Trinidad and Tobago tend to fall victim to the misfortune of the dissociation between themselves and their goals and aspirations. In turn, this hinders their potential for growth and progression as individuals by fueling an unwillingness toward pursuing goals and triggering self-sabotage.
Data collection and research method. The data collection method was done through an online survey. The online survey was a structured online form that was distributed via a link and allowed participants to answer 16 questions about our topic at hand. The research method was distributed to qualitative and quantitative structured questions. In order to gather feedback, a variety of qualitative questions were given in the form of open-ended structured questions to gather personal experiences, ideas, and feedback from respondents. whereas quantitative questions in the form of options or sets of choices were used to elicit specific information about the topic from respondents. Strengths were also uncovered as a result of the data collection method, and they are as follows. The survey was cost and time effective. Costs were eliminated as the survey was created through the free Google Forms softwares and then conveniently distributed to the target audience via a direct participants link with real-time access. There was also data analysis accuracy, as the results of the survey were accurately reported and organized through system-generated graphs, charts, and datasheets via the Google Forms software. There was also generalizability, as the questions on the survey were made to be applicable to study a broad group of persons in various situations, more specifically with understanding and navigating the experience of failure during adulthood in Trinidad and Tobago.
Now we shall be moving on to the survey discussion and analysis of our fact-finding. Questions 1 and 2 were standard survey demographic questions, which provided us with the ability to record the specific ages and genders of our survey participants.
Question 3. How would you define failure? 25% said that failure is the inability to meet expectations. 22% see it as having a goal but neglecting to take action toward achieving it. 19% believe it to be making wrong decisions and failing to learn from them. 10% define failure as a lack of success. 15% believe failure to mean not fulfilling your true potential. 9% define failure as living and working in a manner that does not align with your morals and values, indicating that participants possess an understanding of failure to be the unattainability of a goal, be it concrete/tangible or a mental/abstract expectation. Question 4. Give an example of a time when you felt that you had failed. Respondent fell within one of 5 categories. 1. Failure in education. For instance, not achieving the desired result in a particular examination. 2. Failure of life expectations, such as not fulfilling one's highest potential in personal pursuits. 3. Failure in work. For instance, not succeeding at a job interview or achieving a promotion. 4. Failure in relationship. For example, a failed marriage. 5. Failure in competitive sports. For instance, not training hard enough, implying that all participants can identify with the feeling of failure through their specific experiences. Question 5. How do you cope after a failed experience? Respondents fell into 5 collective categories. 45.16% coped with their failure by investing in self-reflection. 38.71% coped by vulnerably expressing their emotions of despair, for example, crying or venting. 29.3% appear to cope through continued perseverance toward their goal. 9.68% accounted for turning toward their faith, for example, prayer. 6.45% tended to cope through emotional suppression, for example, brushing off and neglecting their feelings, indicating that the majority of participants productively coped with their feelings after encountering failure, while the minority passively dismissed their emotions.
Question 6. How would you like to improve your coping skills in the event of failure? 35% of the participants desired to improve their coping skills by thinking positively and persevering. 26.7% desired to improve their acceptance of failure in order to learn and grow from it. 15% desire to have better control of their emotions. 13.3% desire to take less time to process the experience of failure. 6.7% believe they need to improve their attitude towards seeking external help in the event of having failed, while 3.3% desire to improve their perception of failure to avoid the addition of stress and pressure one places on themselves, thus indicating that participants have both the awareness and need for improvement of their coping mechanism in the event of failure. Question 7. Which of the following factors do you suppose influenced your perception of failure? Participants were asked to select as many factors they supposed influenced their perception of failure, to which we have gathered that the majority of participants, 74.2%, selected a personal sense of disappointment. 61.3% indicated a tendency of comparing themselves to others, and 35.5% felt a personal sense of shame was responsible for their perception of failure, thus implying that the general population of participants possesses an awareness of what factors have been at work in their perception of failure. Question 8. How do you feel after having a failed experience? Participants were asked to select as many emotions they commonly experience in the aftermath of a failed experience, to which we have gathered the majority of all participants reported feeling disappointed, frustrated, anxious, worried, and motionless. This consensus indicates that the average individual experiences a range of opposing, unpleasant emotions, which, if not properly managed and overcome, can lead to an even deeper struggle with self-esteem, self-confidence, as well as prospective goal commitment.
Question 9. How has failure influenced your perception of your ability to succeed? Participants generally believe that failure influenced their perception of their ability to succeed in one of three manners. 1. 64.5% of participants stated that failure is seen as the driving force to succeed. Failure is seen as a bump in the road that creates a drive that has pushed the majority to learn from the failed experience, work harder, and rebrand themselves. It has also increased their determination and perseverance to achieve success and made them more realistic in measuring their capabilities in future endeavors. 29% stated that the will to succeed has been undermined by fear of failure. So following a failed experience, a few participants stated that failure had altered their perspective of their potential to succeed by making them feel as if they could never achieve and that their abilities were insufficient. Others chose not to make attempts because they believe they will fail anyway, and they do not anticipate anything positive to emerge from their endeavors. It has also cast doubt on certain people's abilities to succeed since they are unable to take another step forward. The remaining 6.5% saw no relation between failure and success. 2 participants stated that their perception of their ability to succeed is unaffected because the ability to succeed has nothing to do with failure and my failures did not influence how I see myself nor my potential. Based on the finding, failure has not hindered the majority of the target audience's drive to succeed or try again. Few, on the other hand, have become more pessimistic and demotivated about achieving and attaining their goals. Question 10. Do you think failure is an inevitable experience of life? 83.9% of the participants claimed yes, while the remaining 16.1% claimed no. This suggests that the majority of the target audience believes that failure is an inevitable experience of life, while the remaining disagrees. Question 11. Follow-up question. If yes or no to the previous question, please state why. The responses were categorized into 3 sections, which 54.58% stated that everyone fails. Participants stated that failure is part of life, no one is good at something on the first try, and it is inevitable from the moment we are born. 22.6% saw failure as a learning experience since failure teaches us valuable lessons that we can use to prosper. The remaining 22.6% saw failure as a way for growth and development. They stated that you must fail to grow, and without failed experiences, you will not know who you really are. Those who believe that failure is an inevitable experience of life believe that everyone fails at some point in their lives because it is a necessary step on the path to success and that they may be turned into opportunities for learning and self-development. Question 12. How valuable is the experience of failure towards learning and achieving success? with 1 being the least valuable and 5 being the most valuable. All of the participants' responses were in the range of 3 to 5, with 5 being the highest at 45.2%, followed by 4 at 38.7% and 3 at 16.1%. This indicates that they all place a high value on the association between failure and learning and achieving success. Based on the previous responses, this is evident since many participants view failure as a motivation to succeed and a learning experience.
Question 13. Do you believe that failure encourages learning and personal growth? 83.3% of participants reported yes, while the remaining 16.1% reported maybe. These findings suggest that the majority of participants recognize the constructive purpose of failure in terms of encouraging learning and personal progress, thus indicating that there is a consensus awareness of the potential benefits of failure. Question 14. Have you ever been discouraged from pursuing a goal because you were afraid of failing? 74.2% or the majority of participants reported yes to the fear of failure impeding their pursuit of a goal, indicating that while participants are aware of the potential benefits of failure, as suggested by their responses to the previous question, their fear of having a failed experience outweighs their understanding of its benefits. Direct response questions. Question 15. What would you hope to gain or wish to learn from our seminar on understanding and navigating the experience and perceptions of failure? Participants reported their expectations of the seminar to be as follows. 1. To learn about healthy coping mechanisms and develop a healthy mindset in the event and of the aftermath of a failed experience. 2. Handling and preventing the feelings of guilt and shame after having failed. 3. Learning how to become less self-critical after failure and understanding the importance of failed experiences and how it serves as a motivator towards success. And finally, 5. Getting past the anxiety and fear of failure. Question 16. Are there any specific areas of concern you wish for us to address on the topic of failure? The specific areas of concern as highlighted by participants to be addressed are as follows. 1. Learning how to build a resilience against failure. 2. Coping with consecutive failures and maintaining a sense of motivation toward continuing pursuits. 3. Productively managing the experience of failure and moving beyond subsequent setbacks. 4. Establishing a positive outlook on failure as being a stepping stone in life and learning. And 5. Understanding how failure affects our emotional well-being. Based on the collected and analyzed data, our group recognizes that while participants possess a fundamental understanding of the possibility and purpose of experiencing failure, their willingness to pursue goals and opportunities that risk the potentiality of being unsuccessful is inherently reduced due to the subsequent setbacks of failing, coupled with the unpleasant feelings of shame, guilt, and demotivation. Therefore, while failure may not necessarily be hindering our target population's potential for growth, it is fueling an unwillingness towards pursuing goals and expectations. Finally, when asked what particular concerns they wish for us to address in the upcoming seminar, participants requested to learn of healthy coping mechanisms for failure, techniques for recovering from setbacks of consecutive failures, maintaining a positive outlook post-failure, and getting past the anxiety of fear of failure. In closing, on behalf of my group, I wish to thank you for your time and attention paid towards our fact-finding presentations today. Do have a great day.